My mother-in-law decided to gossip with my daughter about my marriage, blowing a giant hole in my life. My wife cheated on me nearly 10 years ago. I won't get into the specifics, as they're unimportant, but due to the fact that I saw blame on both of our parts, I forgave her and we moved past it. My daughter is 16 years old, and she only just found out, from my MAL, who seems to have decided she was old enough to hear the family gossip, and that she would be mature enough not to confront her. Initially, my wife thought I had told her, and came into my office where I had been, to ask me what the hell I was thinking, and if I was trying to destroy their relationship. She and my daughter have been strained for a couple years now, lots of arguing, on both sides. She refused to believe that I hadn't said anything at first until my daughter entered the room and joined in on the screaming that I was too weak, and her own mother had sold her out. The fighting went on a long time, and honestly I may as well have not been there, for all the good I did. I tried to step between them when I was concerned, but that only ended with some ringing in my ear, haha. Eventually, my wife left to cool off, and my daughter and I could talk. She wasn't happy with me either, and didn't hesitate to tell me so, but she wasn't screaming or throwing shit anymore, so I just let her get it out. She asked me why I stayed and I was honest, that I was no perfect husband, and I decided not to end my marriage, break up our home, and destroy her childhood for something that I held blame in as well. The entire time I was speaking, she just kept watching me with this sad face that made me uncomfortable, but when I finished she just shook her head and said that I needed to leave my wife, and that the cheating wasn't the only issue. She started bringing up every insignificant flaw she brought up my wife getting angry at me because I had put too much creamer in her coffee, for example, just trivial crap. I told her as much but she just kept shaking her head. It ended up turning into an argument where she insisted I was some sort of victim, and making some kind of getaway plan. I kept trying to talk her down, but that was going nowhere. I first tried my wife, but found my call went straight to voicemail, so I called my MAL to inform her of the situation, but my wife had already made it there, and planned to stay overnight to calm down, because she didn't want to see either of our faces. It's been a few days now and I still haven't seen her, or heard from her, but her mother informs me she's okay, just very emotional. So I'm also scared for my wife. She has had mental health struggles before, and if she's going through that again, I should be there to help. Edit. To the people who have commented, or private messaged me to say I shouldn't care. My wife almost died the last time she had an episode, and I don't think even my daughter, as angry as she is right now, wants her mom dead. My daughter told me she hopes her mother never came back. I'm just feeling defeated, and tired. I've done everything I can to keep this family floating, and somehow I'm still failing. It's beginning to feel like I always do, at everything, and always will fail at everything, as long as I live. For more contexts, here are some of OP's replies in the comments. How often does wife get overly sensitive about trivial shit? There is a point where it becomes you managing wife's emotional outbursts instead of wife working on her own issues. OP replied, I 120% agree. I'm slightly in shock that my wife is mad at me, and our daughter, but somehow not too angry to stay in the house of the person who told her. I don't know, that part has been messing me up a lot, I think. My daughter has definitely been going through some teenage rebellion stuff, which I haven't minded because it's introduced me to a lot of new music when she's mad, but my wife has had some issue with because she's scared when my daughter gets older she'll regret all the crazy hair or odd clothes. I've been trying to help her with that, because I was a little teenage dirtbag myself, and my daughter is a good kid, no real trouble out of her other than being a smartass sometimes, which she comes by honest. To the rest, I don't know. My wife is temperamental, but she's not violent. I mean, she just gets mad easy. She gets over it pretty fast though. Like, she yelled about the coffee thing, dumped it out, and got a new cup and it never come up again. I honestly forgot about it until my daughter brought it up. It really wasn't a big deal. OP in the comments replied to someone asking if his wife is abusive. I just don't know if I can see it that way. I mean, my mom used to be really abusive when I was young, in more ways than one. My daughter doesn't know about that. My mom died before she was born. My wife has never been anything like that at all. I do intend to talk to my daughter, because a lot of people are saying my wife may be hurting my daughter behind closed doors other than the fighting which we've been trying to work out for a while. I will speak with her, and depending on her answers, I will go from there. The biggest reason I dismissed my daughter's concerns, though, was because it was all about me. Like during that talk she never spoke up about her mother hurting her at all. If she had even told me that she had no reason for it, but she was afraid of her mother, I would have taken that to heart, and we could have figured it out from there. I just don't see my wife shouting and pouring out some coffee as anything remotely close to my mom. OP responding about the wife's cheating, I didn't know she knew until this, but it shouldn't surprise me, her and my wife are very close. During the time of the affair I had a job where I worked 12 to 13-hour days 5 to 6 days a week. That entirely killed my sex drive for a year. We haven't had any problems sexually since then, because after that I found a different job, with more flexible hours. It was unfortunate to leave that job, because the entire reason I had stayed there as long as I had was if I could have stuck it out I would probably be close to retired right now, and working far less restrictive hours. Anyway, so that does suck. One guy from what she said, but I never wanted too many details. I did get an STD test. Respect. Who could say? She seems to hate her mother, but looks at me like a kicked puppy. Her being at her mother's? I have no answers. I just don't. Because you're right, it doesn't make sense. No rational person would make that choice, and I am trying to think of any other explanation, but I ain't got it. Update, 13 months later. It's been a while. I probably will regret posting this as much as I did the first time, though for different reasons. Before I begin, I want to thank all the kind people who reached out with genuine advice and with whom I had lovely conversations. I appreciate you more than I can say. Checking my history, I saw that I never updated after the conversation with my daughter about her situation with my wife. We talked, and it went worse than I expected, but better than most of the comments. She never hit my daughter or threatened her. My daughter did bring up the yelling, and I listened, though she said she was never afraid of her mother, but she started to hate her when she noticed how she treated me, hence the change in appearance and rebelling. She liked that I stood up for her when it came to her new style, because then I was standing up for something. That makes me laugh a bit now, but at the time, I was confused. We talked a long time, and she said she thought maybe she could get over the resentment she had for her mother if she didn't have to see the way she treats me. I didn't much like that at the time, and I admit I argued that I was an adult and she didn't have to fight my fights for me. My daughter said something like, if I don't, who will, and it just kinda stopped me in my tracks, because my only answer, sometimes you have to pick your battles, sounds weak when you pick none of them. I still intended to try to work on my marriage, despite the comments. I really hoped to turn things around because of their previous relationship, and frankly, how much I still loved my then wife. But then she didn't come home for weeks. I don't know if it was my daughter's needling, or the fact I could tell she was upset at being abandoned by her mother at the first sign of trouble, but one day I eventually reached out and asked my ex-mill when my wife was going to come home and act like an adult, and was told she was looking into divorce attorneys, and that if I wanted her back I should really work on getting my daughter to apologize. It all felt so manipulative, and I just got so angry. I just hung up and spoke to my own lawyer. After being served, she tried to come back and cried that it was her mental health, but I was still so angry, I just shut her down and told her to leave. Divorce was finalized a while ago. My daughter stays with me most of the time, since her mother moved out of state afterward, and she wants to go to college in the area when the time comes, but visits MAL and speaks to her mother on the phone sometimes. As much as I hate to admit it, their relationship is improving since the divorce. I don't hate my ex-wife, even if many, including my daughter, categorize her as abusive. She's the first woman I ever really clicked with in that way, and though I don't love her anymore, probably the last. I don't mind it so much. I have a full life without her around, and a quieter one as well. But, anyway, thank you all again for listening, and I am bracing for I told you so's. I don't blame you, you did.